Ooh. You want to hang out for this one? Okay, that's good. You're gonna fall, stupid. You have to start paying your cat to be here. Getting camera time. We get like a little cat food can put right there. Fucking advertise. Meow 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 meow. Buddy, how's work been? Has it been lit?
Bro, we're not even going to get an adventure lane right now. You really want to go stick at 15 minutes?
I mean, yeah, I want to try and just make it like a 15-minute episode. That way, I'll just, like 13 minutes, let me know, and I'll start wrapping us up with our goodbyes.
Oh, this was live too. Well, eventually you're about to see me talk shit about
Bro, I swear I seen Adam the other day getting out of a car.
Prius, bro.
Over there off of Green Acres where that person got shot yesterday.
Really?
Like, I thought I seen him get out of a car over there. Like, oh, Adam done killed somebody.
He's about to kill his staff. How about
Boy,
that?
that shit was real over there the other day. Yesterday.
They had the crime scene unit and all that.
They had like 3 dudes standing on 4 Mile with their ARs.
That's crazy.
It was pretty cool.
All right, ready to do this?
Yep.
Okay. Tables.
All right, welcome to our first fantasy prediction show for week 2 of the NFL. Brett and I are just going to go over fantasy leaders for this week, the projected leaders, and some hot pickups that it's not too late to grab on this Friday afternoon. We know one game already played last night. Baltimore's defense got me -1 point, so that was great. Just shout out to Baltimore. Getting me 17 points last weekend, and then you go -1, so that kind of sucks.
That's because they play the Bills, man.
So, for all you fantasy enthusiasts out there, I guess I'll just go through like the top 3 quarterbacks projected for this week. So if you own Drew Brees, Big Ben, or Aaron Rodgers, even though Rodgers and Big Ben did not participate in practice today, they're still in the top 3, with Drew Brees being first. They're all pretty much about, just north of 19 points. Drew Brees at 19.8. Now, this is on the NFL Fantasy app, and this is non-PPR leagues that I'll be talking about. Surprisingly, quarterbacks always run the most fantasy points, but they have Todd Gurley as the 4th highest fantasy prediction for this week with 19.19 points.
Yeah, they're playing Arizona, so
yeah, I mean, Washington ran all over them last week.
Yeah, they did, man. They put up some serious numbers.
They have Deshaun high up, Jimmy Garoppolo high up, Alex Smith high up. Alex Smith is actually, I think, one of those, go get him if you can type guys that are still available.
Yeah.
On NFL.com, they have him as 45% still available in most leagues. He's playing the Colts this week, who gave up 6.6 yards per play last week to Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good pickup. And they're also saying Tyrod Taylor versus the Saints is an amazing pickup because the Saints gave up 417 yards to Ryan Fitzpatrick last week.
I don't know, man.
And it says he's 94% available, so pretty much no one owns Tyrod, which he's available in my league too. I'm not going to go get him. I'm gonna hang with Goff. But I guess if you're someone who has Aaron Rodgers and he's possibly not going to play this week still, or still kind of day to day with that, I think he'll play.
Mm-hmm.
But if he doesn't, you could have Tyrod in your back pocket. So go pick up Tyrod.
I have Tom Brady this week, so.
And that's a tough one too because you never know what they're going to do with Jacksonville.
My backup is Dak Prescott, so.
You got Carolina, so that's not
no.
much better.
That was last week. Dallas plays Giants.
Oh yeah, Giants. I mean, they were tough against Jacksonville's defense this week, but it's Jacksonville's offense, but it's also Jacksonville's offense. They don't throw the ball, so
Right.
I just stick with Tom. He's probably going to throw over 2 TDs and probably like
I hope it's
200 yards. And
I'm
that'll be a
hoping for
decent
3,
day.
man. I'm
Well,
hoping for that 300 game.
You never know. It depends, what happens. Top running backs, like I said already, Todd Gurley is at the forefront of that. Then you have Alvin Kamara, who's predicted to get 18. Melvin Gordon down at 3rd and 17th. Zeke's in the top 5. And Joe Mixon, they actually have in like 6th. McCaffrey, I figured Barkley would be a little higher.
Yeah, especially with Dallas.
But he did struggle all last week. And then he had the one big run.
Yeah, it was like, what is it, 30?
No, he had like the big 60-yard touchdown run.
Yeah.
And I think he only ended up with like 100 all game long. And they play Dallas. So, like you said, divisional game. Don't think Saquon's going to pop off. Dalvin's under him. They have Shady way down. Kareem, Leonard, all those guys.
Mm-hmm.
The top pickup for running backs still available. I'd have to actually go in here and find it, because that's just my league. While I find that, we'll do some start 'em and sit 'em for this week. We'll go ahead and go with since we're on running backs, we'll talk running backs. I think you would obviously start Zeke, as I'm
For
going
sure.
to.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Even though they're playing.
Gurley, you can definitely start Gurley.
Well, I think you always start Gurley.
I'm actually benching Marshawn this week. I'm putting in Carlos Hyde.
Are you?
Marshawn was a big
mean,
disappointment for me last week.
He had the one TD, but other than that,
It didn't do much for me, though. Like, Carlos Hyde had better fantasy points, man.
I imagine people picked up James Conner last weekend once they realized that Le'Veon wasn't going to play.
Bald. Dude, you freaking bald.
Yeah, 36 touches, 192 scrimmage yards, 2 TDs.
That's big, especially in a PPR league.
Yeah, so I think you obviously start him against KC again.
Yeah.
Even though KC did look, good last week. Did Melvin? I wonder if Melvin even played good against that defense.
I did not
week.
look at Melvin's.
They're saying go ahead and start Jordan Howard against Seattle.
That's Seattle's always iffy with running backs.
Yeah, they are. But Jordan Howard's been pretty constant throughout his career once he, kind of blew up.
He did pretty good last week, I think.
So, yeah. He'll probably get 20, 25 touches against Seattle this week. And, won't have a giant game, I don't think, but he'll probably have a good game. Chris Thompson for the Redskins against the Colts.
I would definitely
Colts
start.
gave up 150 yards last week to Joe Mixon, I think. So play him.
Ajayi.
They're saying start Ajayi against Tampa,
Good choice.
which he did score 2 TDs last week.
Yeah, but that was in the second half.
Yeah,
So maybe they realized they screwed up in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it was just first game of the season, it was slow. So, and they're playing. Let's see, they're playing Tampa, who played the Saints last week.
What do you know? What Alvin Kamara had last
I
week?
don't know what he had last week. And then this is kind of, I don't want to call it breaking news, but I just saw a few minutes ago on Twitter that Adam Schefter has reported that Devontae Freeman will not be playing this week. They have ruled him out.
That's a big loss, though.
Yeah, that's huge, for
Especially in the divisional
Atlanta.
matchup.
Yeah, so now Coleman's going to be getting all the touches against Carolina this week. Carolina allowed 18 PPR points to Zeke last week. So if you're in a PPR league,
Go for it,
Coleman's probably going to catch a lot of passes out of the backfield. And then even if you're not in a PPR league, you still might want to pick him up. Even though Carolina only gave up 8 points, they only gave up that one touchdown to Zeke last week. I'd still, obviously start Coleman because he's going to get a big hand of it. Is that our video's on?
Yeah.
Let's see. Now, these are the sitters of the week. They're saying Jamal Williams for Green Bay against Minnesota. And then they're saying sit Kenyon Drake against the Jets. I don't know why everyone was high on Kenyon Drake last week and throughout the offseason. He didn't, even though Miami beat Tennessee last week, and he ran okay, but it was really Frank Gore doing all the running for Miami.
Frank Gore still hasn't, man.
I mean, Frank Gore only got 18, I think, snaps, but I think his carries are going to go up compared to Kenyon's. I don't know who Chris Carson is. I guess he runs
He's the
for
running back
Seattle.
for Seattle.
They're playing Denver. Denver had a. I think are they playing Denver? No,
Seattle's
no,
playing
the Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't run against the Bears. Sit Derrick Henry, even though it hurts to say that, but he was just
So okay,
he was
so
like
they're-
invisible last weekend against Miami.
so you say sit him. So would you also sit Deion Lewis?
No, I'd probably start Dion because Dion got the touchdown last week. I think he had 75 yards from scrimmage, 80 yards from scrimmage.
And it helps him. He's a passing back too, so
Yeah,
not just a full-on running back.
I mean he and you know they gave and Tennessee goes with the hot hand. That's the only bad thing.
Yeah.
So like Derek's your starter, but last week he had 13 less touches than Dion did because
Right.
Dion was playing. They come out this week and all of a sudden Derek's running. They're going to feed the ball to Derek. So, but you know, if you're thinking about if you have a better option besides Derek, I'd start them.
For sure.
Says sit Rex Burkhead against the Jags. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah, for sure.
Burkhead isn't much of a runner anyway, and now, I mean, even though Barkley did have one big run against Jacksonville last week, they shut him down the entire rest of the game. So sit Burkhead against Jacksonville. So that's just some running backs to sit and start.
Would you and now if Fournette plays, would you sit Fournette against New England?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know many people that I don't know in my league who has Fournette,
I don't know who has Fournette either. I know someone has him.
but I don't know. I mean, New England will give up some yards on the ground. I just don't think he's going to have a big as an impact as you like. I guess if you have no one else, then you have
Yeah,
another
for sure,
option.
start
Just
him.
start him.
Yeah.
But if you have another option, you know, even if his stat line's 50 yards, you know, for him to pay off this week, he needs a touchdown.
Yeah.
Because Leonard's never going to run for 120, 130 yards.
Eventually, maybe, but not.
I don't think so. I don't think he has a stamina. I think he gets hurt too much. I think he could, like, a great game for Leonard is like 80 yards and a TD or two. And against New England, I don't know if he's going to get a TD or two. So I would not start him if it were me, unless it's your only option.
Tight end.
All these are pretty much NFL.com suggestions also, and then me and Brett just kind of weighing in. Said you should start Jordan Reed
Yes.
against the Colts.
I agree.
Said you should start Jack Doyle against the Skins. So
Oh,
those
the
two
opposite.
tight ends going against each other. I think Jack Doyle does. I mean, he did well last year. He did lose a fumble, I think, but
I played a PPR league last week on DraftKings.
uh,
I had Jack Doyle. He got me like 8 points, I think.
yeah. So that's not terrible for a tight end. George Kittle, I don't even know who that is. Apparently plays for San Fran, so maybe Jimmy G can throw to him. And then Jared Cook for the Raiders against Denver.
He had a lot of yards.
Denver surrendered 21 points to a tight end last week, or two the tight ends combined, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So look for. And Oakland said they tried to target Jared Cook last weekend. Didn't work
Yeah,
out
he
for
had-
him
That
because they got blown out.
Yeah, but he had a lot of. Didn't he have a lot of yardage?
Yeah, I mean, John Gruden said in an interview that they were scheming to throw the ball to him. That's why
Like,
Amari
it-
only had one catch.
It was ridiculous.
For my sake, I hope they throw it to Amari Cooper because I need some points.
No kidding.
They're saying to sit Will Dissly of the Seahawks versus the Bears.
Good choice. That I would definitely sit him.
Saying sit Antonio Gates versus the Bills, which is surprising because the Bills suck, and Antonio Gates is, even though he's old, he's still
One of the best
big
tight
guy in the, he's still a big guy to throw to in the end zone.
Safarian Jenkins.
But he only had 3 targets last weekend, and he only ran 23 plays. So
Wait,
he's not
in
even.
for 23 plays.
It said Gates ran a modest 23 routes.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess he was in blocking, but he went out for 23 passes, which to me seems like a lot for an old guy.
Yeah.
And they're saying sit Austin Safarian Jenkins for New England for Jacksonville against New England.
I don't know.
I don't even think they threw to him last weekend.
I think he had a catch or two.
It also says right here he's failed to produce more than 30 yards in his last 9 games.
Who did Safarian Jenkins play for last year?
He played for Tampa and the Jets at one point. I do know
Okay.
that. And then they're saying sit Charles Clay for Buffalo against the Chargers.
You should sit everyone from Buffalo.
It says, how bad was Clay in the stat sheets last week? Well, his teammates Jason Crome and Logan Thomas both had more fantasy points against the Ravens. So he was outdone by 2 different guys last week on that Bills team. So,
Hey, you know who we didn't start for the quarterback?
Who?
You need to start Nathan Peterman.
Oh, yeah, everyone should start. I can't even say that without laughing.
But yeah,
I wonder if he's even owned in any leagues anymore. Like, after
No.
last weekend, Like they probably don't even have him like on the website anymore. Like, no siree.
Let's go to defense.
Defenses, okay. For those of you, what are we at? We're getting close.
Yeah,
What's it at?
13.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it up here in just 1 second. Let's see. So defenses, start them and sit them. Start the Chargers versus the Bills.
Yep.
Start the Rams versus the Cardinals. Start the Broncos versus the Raiders. Start the Bears versus the Seahawks. Sit the Chiefs versus the Chargers. Or versus the Steelers. Sit the Cardinals versus the Rams. Sit the Browns versus the Saints. Sit Atlanta versus Carolina. And we'll run right through wideouts really, really quick. Because I know it's a important one. Da-da-da-da.
You better start Julio Jones, boy.
Yeah, Julio's going to get targeted a lot now that Freeman's out, I believe. Let me load. Hey, I'm doing this. Look at that. I didn't even look at this
told
yet.
you, man.
Start Emmanuel versus the Raiders. Start Juju against KC. Start Golden Tate against the Niners. Start Algalore versus Tampa.
Wow.
And start Chris Godwin against Philly. Then sit. Oh, my God. I'm not going to sit Amari Cooper. It says sit Amari versus Denver. Sit Chris Hogan against Jacksonville. Sit Randall Cobb versus Minnesota. Sit Sammy Watkins versus Pitt. And sit Kelvin Benjamin against the Chargers. I'm not sitting Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Because I already brought in Emmanuel for
Unfortunately, I
Pierre
don't.
Garcon.
Unfortunately, I have the only wide receiver I can play is Moncrief. If I sit Amari,
Well, in my league, the best wideout left is, let me see. The best wideout left is Jamison Crowder of the Redskins.
I wouldn't even start Jameson, honestly.
I think I'll just take my chances on Amari having more than one freaking point this weekend. So, but all right, that was just a fantasy wrap up. We didn't want to include that in our other show because we're going to start trying to do a separate fantasy, segment every week. Kind of telling you guys who we have playing and then doing some research and telling you who you should start and sit and who's going to be the top playmakers of the week.
I need that win, boy. I'm 0-1
Yeah,
already.
I'm 0-1 too. I need to come through because you go 0-2, you don't normally make the playoffs in anything in life. So appreciate the listen on the fantasy. Give us some feedback. Let us know. Also listen to our regular shows on all the latest NFL news and any other big sports topics that are going on. And we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
See ya.